We need you back on TV again. We need another reality show.
Busy, babe. I'm running an empire.
Busy, babe. I'm running an empire.
He's a nigger! He's a nigger!
Oh my God.
Mixed martial arts all my life, so it's all this stuff. That's what it is.
From legends of the TV screen to big-name actors of film, join me as I show you 7 actors who ruined their careers.
Do you want to win any of these items on your screen? If so, be sure to watch the whole video, leave a like, and comment the hidden message. And with that being said, let's get right into the video.
7. Mel Gibson. Oh yeah, you knew this was coming, so why not just start out with it, you know? There are always a few legendary celebrity blow-ups that stand the test of time, the ones that shock and awe the world when they happen, and then later on we think about them and go, I still can't believe they did that. Mel Gibson is very much at the top of that list, in certain ways because what he did was legendarily bad and stupid, and his career took a hit as a result. The famous actor and director has done a lot of great pieces over the years, both in front of and behind the camera. And while his career isn't technically over, it's not what it could have been had he not done what he did. So let's break it all down for you in case you don't know the whole story. One day, he decided that driving down a road while intoxicated and speeding was a good idea. Hint, it wasn't. Then, when the cops pulled him over, he didn't like it one bit. He refused to get arrested and actually tried to run away from the cops. Once detained and in the back of the car, he started on a rant about how he owned the town they were near, that he would get back at the officer that arrested him, and other typical things. Then he decided to say a line that has followed him ever since. The Jews are responsible for all the wars in the world. Gibson then asked, "Are you a Jew?" Yeah, not the kind of thing you want recorded over a police device. And once it got out that Gibson said these very racially charged things, people were not happy. For good reason, mind you. It's been a very long road for Gibson ever since. He's continued with both his acting and directing career, but he's made some hits since then. But again, if that incident didn't happen, his career would have never been marred, and it's very fair to say that this stain on his career will never go away. So while he may not have ruined his career in the long term in regards to projects he would get, he definitely ruined it in the long term in respect to how people view him. And he's had to work very hard to get people to at least give him a chance. 6. Steve Whitmire. I know what you were thinking. Who is Steve Whitmire? Well, while the name itself may not be as fresh as some of the others on this list, there's a good chance you know his voice. It's a very famous one. He was the voice of Kermit the Frog for nearly 3 decades. That's right, all the classic Muppet movies and the Muppet Show appearances of Kermit the Frog were voiced by Steve Whitmire. Now do you understand who Steve Whitmire is? The problem came when Whitmire wanted to do more than just be the voice of Kermit the Frog, but he didn't handle this desire well. He apparently got quite aggressive backstage, especially in regards to how much money he wanted for the role. He wanted his ideas for the show to be heard, and he thought that they were, but then he got fired, much to his surprise. Add to that, Disney had the support of the Henson family, so the firing stuck. Whitmire did try and get back into their good graces, but it didn't work, proving that no matter how famous you are, or how good you are at your job, if you push things too far, you will pay the price for it. He hasn't been the voice of Kermit since that point. 5. Steven Seagal. During the 80s and 90s, the action hero era rose up like a force to be reckoned with. It was a time of big names like Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Bruce Willis, Chuck Norris, Jean-Claude Van Damme, and of course, Steven Seagal. These were the kings of action, and many adored them for no other reason than that they looked intimidating and could kick butt. Tall, brooding, a soft speaker, and more, Seagal was a big name in the action movie industry, and he had many successful hits, including the popular Under Siege and several direct-to-video films that made him a household name. But his journey would be littered with problems and allegations, and all of it was his fault, which was something that rarely happened to his action hero partners in crime. He was accused of many misconducts and assault crimes, including several involving women across multiple productions, and this hasn't gone away in recent years. In a way, they've gotten worse. This is a very serious matter, and it's definitely affected his career. Seagal is also a very vocal activist and supporter of certain political parties, which he himself claims got him blacklisted by the FBI, among other parties, for expressing his opinions. Add this all together, and it shows why he hasn't been in many movies or TV shows. He has had some resurgence, but it never lasts, and it's gotten to the point where he basically parodies himself in whatever show or commercial will let him act. In one case, Stallone was going to cast Seagal in one of his expendable movies, which was a collection of action hero stars. But Seagal had a beef with Van Damme, and by Stallone's own words, they went out back to settle the score, and Van Damme got cast in the film instead of Seagal. Fast forward to today, and Seagal is even more trouble because of some business dealings. You almost have to ask, will this guy ever learn? More than likely not. 4. Paris Hilton. Paris Hilton is a rather infamous story in Hollywood. After all, this is a woman who made a living on a show called The Simple Life, where she and her friend Nicole Richie went around the country doing things just to be airheads. It was a hit, and that's horrifying. Paris made a lot of money off this, as well as setting a trend with her catchphrase, "That's hot." This fame led to numerous cameos and references on all kinds of hit series, such as being the final form of a demon in the CW and WB series Supernatural, as well as being a woman of fashion, and she even helped start the career of Kim Kardashian in a way. But after numerous run-ins with the law, it became all too clear to the world that Paris Hilton wasn't just playing an airhead on TV, she actually was one. Once people realized this, they didn't want her to be a part of her brand. She still has businesses that do well for the most part, and she actually tried to reinvent herself as a DJ to some moderate success, but she's nowhere near where she was during those simple times. 3. Michael Richards. One of the stars of the legendary sitcom Seinfeld, the show about nothing, Michael Richards played the role of Kramer, Jerry Seinfeld's neighbor and friend. And through that role, he gained an incredible amount of fame, and even became more famous than the main character in terms of fan popularity. After Seinfeld ended, Richards took to stand-up comedy, and in 2006, a heckler decided to get in some jabs on Richards. This is to be expected, except that the heckler was African American, and Richards didn't take too kindly to their jabs. So in the middle of his routine, Richards started shouting at the man, then threw out numerous slurs that made the entire audience gasp. And to make matters worse for Richards, the whole thing got recorded, then uploaded to the internet, and the rest is history. Despite a public apology on the David Letterman show, Michael Richards hasn't been doing much since, because of the public outrage of this event. 2. Wesley Snipes. At one point in time, Wesley Snipes was one of the biggest actors in Hollywood, mainly because he had the range to do all kinds of films, his most famous of which were classics like White Men Can't Jump and the Blade trilogy. And if it weren't for one really dumb decision, he likely would have been making movies for a lot longer. So what did he do? Simple. He didn't pay his taxes. Now, on the surface, this doesn't seem like a bad thing, especially since not paying taxes usually just results in a fine. But nope. He made some serious tax errors when he didn't file them, and the IRS decided that his punishment should be going to jail. And that's exactly what he did. That's what happens when you fail to pay $17 million in taxes. Eventually, he did indeed get out of jail, and he went back into acting. But his first series back, despite all the hype, was a major bust, and he hasn't been in anything significant since then, despite rumors saying he'll be jumping back into the superhero foray eventually. Until that happens though, you can honestly say that his career has stalled. So remember everyone, file your taxes. 1. Charlie Sheen. Is there anything that can be said about the fall of Charlie Sheen that hasn't been already? Probably not, but we're going to talk about him anyway. Sheen was part of a very famous family, and much like his father Martin Sheen, his brother Emilio Estevez, and others, he went into being an actor. He did films like Platoon, Wall Street, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and more. He waxed and waned in his career as all stars do, and then he got the role of a lifetime on the show 2.5 Men on CBS. The show was the biggest comedy on the air, and Sheen was elevated to A-list status once again, and it was honestly mostly because of him. His comedic timing and charm led to it being a major hit, but that fame led to his downfall. He started to struggle with substance abuse, and even though the studio worked hard to get him clean, Sheen refused to get better, and eventually he went on the infamous Tiger Blood rant, and that got him kicked off the show and later replaced by Ashton Kutcher, who would finish off as one of the lead roles when the series ended a few seasons later. Sheen was still hot on the market though because of his stunts, so we got a show called Anger Management on FX, but that show was also short-lived because of Sheen. And though he claims he's sober now and has a clear head, the damage has been done, and no one really wants to work with him anymore. More than likely, it's due to his personality. But more than that, he's a liability, and he opens the studios up to major problems should he relapse. So why risk it? Exactly, so they don't. So what do you think? What do you think of these actors and actresses who ruined their career in seconds? Can you believe what these people did in order to lose their fame? Do you know another person that could be on this list? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you next time on the channel.
A simple reminder on how to enter our brand new giveaway. We will be giving away either an iPhone X Max, the new iPad mini, or a MacBook Pro. It's really your choice. So be sure to leave a like, comment the keyword, subscribe, and turn on notifications to enter the giveaway. It's really that simple. Go for it.